Hi and welcome to Nexus. This week we're taking you to some of Australia's popular attractions and tourist destinations. And don't forget to watch out for this symbol. It means there's a special focus on English language learning from the story on our website. Now on today's program, we go inside the biggest Buddhist temple in the Southern Hemisphere, take a day trip to the seafood capital of Australia, Port Lincoln, and visit one of the hottest travel destinations in the world. But first, just outside Adelaide in South Australia is a fantastic opportunity to see native Australian animals such as kangaroos and koalas. Cleland Conservation Park conserves a vital area of natural bushland in the Adelaide Hills and is a very popular destination for tourists and locals alike.
Cleland Wildlife Park is located in the Adelaide Hills. It's only about a short 20-minute drive from Adelaide, and it's nestled in amongst Cleland Conservation Park, which is around about an 800-hectare national park of native vegetation. Cleland Wildlife Park provides a number of opportunities for visitors to actually come and experience native wildlife of South Australia in particular, and have a close contact experience with things like koalas and kangaroos, and learn a little bit more about the issues that they're facing in the wild. Some of the most popular animals out here for the visitors are the kangaroos and the koalas, of course. Koalas have got an interesting history in South Australia. They were actually introduced into the Adelaide Hills and Kangaroo Island back in about the 1930s and have built up in number, where the populations are very secure now. There is a lot of issues though with domestic dogs attacking koalas and koalas getting hit on the road. And so Cleland Wildlife Park actually provides a service where we hand raise orphan koalas and actually provide a rescue service. Visitors to Cleland Wildlife Park can expect to see a lot of different native animals, particularly those that have been found in South Australia or still occur in South Australia, in a really nice natural bushland setting. So there's lots of habitat that's been recreated basically. So we've got a swamp aviary, we've got a forest aviary. And a lot of the other areas of the park have actually been developed to recreate habitats in the wild, such as the yellow-footed rock wallabies, which are down in a rocky mountain type habitat. The red kangaroos are in more of a dryland area. We've also got dingoes, quite a variety of native wildlife. People can also come along and feed kangaroos, take a photo with a koala. There's also a number of programs that involve school groups or members of the public in different activities, guided walking trails. Attend timetabled feeds where they can talk to the keepers and find out a little bit more about the animals that are actually being fed at the time. Cleland Wildlife Park's been involved in a number of captive breeding programs for conservation of species in the wild. The yellow-footed rock wallaby, we were involved with Adelaide Zoo, where we were breeding rock wallabies in captivity and releasing them back out into the wild. In Australia, we're renowned for having these hot, dry summers, and unfortunately part of living in Australia means that you have to contend with bushfires. Fire is always a risk in the Australian environment, in particular in areas like the Adelaide Hills here, and so we have to be very careful about how we actually manage to prepare ourselves for fires. And we do this a number of different ways. One is by doing fire fuel reduction burns prior to summer and also in autumn to try and reduce the fuel, so if a fire does come through, it is much less intense than what it would be otherwise. If a fire does threaten the park, one of the first things that we'll do is turn on sprinkler systems on the enclosures and buildings throughout the park. The animals will actually remain within those enclosures because that's the best protection they've got. They'll have sprinklers activated which will keep those areas wet and cool. Cleveland Wildlife Park in the future has a wonderful opportunity and great potential for being one of the best wildlife parks in Australia and becoming much more involved in conservation of species in the wild, research into our endangered species, and also presenting education programs so as the children learn about their native wildlife and the issues that they face. Looking at things like amphibians and invertebrates that we currently don't display very well, but have still got a role to play in the environment. Wildlife parks across Australia in the future will be working much closer together to implement conservation programs and also developing education and research to help preserve species in the wild.
Horse or dog? A horse is very smart, I think.